Hi everyone, welcome to the Summit. I'm your host, Shelley Roberts. Myself, along with this series of fabulous speakers, are sharing what it means to be living powerfully from our own inner authority, which gives you wings to fly. I invite you to listen in on each of these conversations to get the most out of this event. It can be a game changer. One aha could literally change your life. In this free virtual series, you're learning how to connect to your inner authority and recognize and clear your inner glass ceilings so you can show up in your life in a bigger, more confident, and more empowered way. When you take it all in, you will walk away with the insights and action steps to powerfully create your own success and level up your life. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Paige Jurado, holistic health coach. Paige Jurado has worked with hundreds of women, helping them develop great health in not just their physical bodies, but also in their mental health, spiritual health, and overall life experience. Paige uses a range of techniques to help women break through mental and physical barriers, which she has cultivated through her education, inner wisdom, and her own life path. She is a powerhouse and an emerging rock star in the spiritual and holistic health arena. Hi, Paige. Welcome to the Summit.
Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you. So, holistic health coach, what's involved with that?
So a holistic approach is more than just the nutrition aspect. When we think of health coach, typically we're thinking of the food that we're consuming. And while that does have a really, really big part in the process that I take my clients through, it's also we're accessing like the mental aspect of it. We are looking at the facets in your life that are working, things that aren't working. So we're looking at it from a mind, body, spirit, and relationship point of view, not just your relationships from family or your job, but also like the relationship you have with yourself.
So a whole person type of approach.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So how did you get into this work?
So about 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, I had my own personal, what we like to call in my industry is the dark night of the soul. I had a really traumatic and serious health scare. So not only did my body at the time, did I believe, give up on me, but also my mental health kind of went out the window. And that was really a serious wake-up call for me to take everything in my life a bit more seriously. And like, we don't recognize how certain instances in our life can shape and change us and fundamentally change how we view the world and how we're moving through the world and how we're showing up until you're faced with a situation like that. So for me, that caused me to get into physical fitness, and that I realized that it doesn't matter how often you are not working out if you're not consuming healthy, whole, high vibrational foods. And then it transitioned from that to, well, the mindset work is such a big component. And so what kind of happened was one thing led to another, led to another. And so all those years later, I discovered I really enjoy this for myself. I want everyone to feel this way. And then that turned into becoming a holistic health coach for women.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Well, thank you for the work that you do in the world.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So as you're helping your clients focus in on what, their health, their mindset, what do you help your clients to achieve mostly?
That's an excellent question. And I'll start with every woman that comes to me has a different thing that they want to work on, whether that be the relationship they have with themselves, whether that be their body image, whether that be, I just want to feel good in my skin. And that might look like losing weight, and it's all good, whatever it is. So while my focus is absolutely 100% nutrition and gut health in specific, the mindset work component, like I have found, and the reason why I'm a holistic health coach and not a nutritionist is because you can't have one without the other. Like, I can tell you, this is what you're going to eat, and this is why you need to eat this way. But until you are able to wrap your head around, okay, well, I'm doing this for me because I love myself, not because I'm hating myself to a different version of who I believe I should be, there's not going to be serious change in a vibrational and subconscious level. So all of it has to come through. So while every woman's needs is going to be different, the process is going to look a little bit different based on specifically what they want to work on, but it's all generally the same thing. So nutrition, movement, mindset, spirituality. Did that answer your question?
It does. It's awesome, awesome question. And it sparked another question in my mind with respect to how you show up for, how you help them to show up in other ways in their life. This is a summit on success and having that holistic mind, body, spirit approach, I think helps people to center themselves on what's important to them so that they can show up bigger and badder in the world. Badder is in terms of powerful goddess kind of badder, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, do you have experience with that with yourself or your coaches, and those who you coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, when I joined the coaching space, particularly in the social media world, my biggest platform and the platform that I show up the most on is actually Instagram. And so what I personally enjoy about that is it's such a visual platform. You get to see, like, I recently did this because it's like a diary, right? You get to go back in time and look at where you were at. And I remember when I entered the online space, I felt like I had to fit into this box of what a coach should be. And I never fit into any boxes. You know, I was raised by a single mom. In addition to that, I had my own struggles growing up. And so I, from a very young age, have viewed the world differently. And then in addition to that, I'm also biracial. I'm half Hispanic and Native American and Irish and all of these amazing things. But because of that, I never ever neatly fit into a box. And so instead of trying to, as a coach and as a woman, fit myself into some unrealistic standard or paradigm of who I should be and how I should show up, I really just let my own personal badass goddess warrior vibes like be what they are and express myself in that way. And so by no means do I show up conventionally as a coach. I curse like a sailor. I've got tattoos, and I'm really fucking good at what I do at my job because I'm able to look at somebody, see where they may be hurting, look at their certain pain points, meet them where they're at, and then help them rise up through their potential. I believe every female or woman that identifies as woman has an inner warrior, has an inner goddess, and more often than not, we've pushed that light and that bigness that's already inside of us. I'm not putting anything there that isn't already within you. I'm just helping you maybe bring her back out to play, because through societal conditioning, the shoulds, our own negative narrative about how we should be showing up, I help bring her out so she can play powerfully in the world and be of service, regardless of if she's a stay-at-home mom or she's a high-level achieving CEO. I think we all have our own innate gifts and special sauce. And until we are fully able to accept and embrace our own quirks and superpowers, we're not going to be able to show up like as powerfully as we may otherwise if we were trying to fit into some version of a watered down version of ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. One of the questions that I got in the Q&A yesterday had to do with how to recognize the difference between living in a purposeful goddess kind of way versus if you're not in that powerful space, what is that, the comparative, what it looks like. And we literally had a conversation around the differences between being in that broader, bigger, badder space versus kind of bumping through life. It's just an order of magnitude different. So how do you help your clients get into that bigger, more expansive place?
So, I mean, again, every woman is different. Every woman has their own stuff that they bring to the table, right? So while it would be really easy for me to just sit and prescribe the same thing, like part of the reason why I became a holistic health coach is because there is no one size fits all modality or way of eating or way of living life or way of showing up for me, for you, for any of my clients. And so I can't prescribe anything, but what I can say is, all right, we're going to start with the basics. We're going to take care of your physical home and then work on your mental home. What's lurking around there? What fear gremlins do you have? What limiting beliefs do you have? What do we need to look at? What do we need to heal? And then where have you been holding yourself back? Like I always felt like I was too much. I wanted too much. I was too aggressive. And it's not that I was ever too much or too aggressive, but I had made myself smaller to make other people comfortable. And one of the things I had to learn, and then now what I teach my clients, is it's not your responsibility to play smaller to make other people comfortable. You get to be exactly who you are at any point in time, with love, with empathy, with compassion, with all the ness that you are, all the amazingness, and show up exactly where you are in the space. Take up space, use your voice, and it doesn't mean yelling or talking over people or being in this masculine energy. It's simply a certainty and a knowingness that we cultivate and bring out and practice flexing and using, because it is a muscle, it is uncomfortable, but once you've got it, that energy that you just talked about from that Q&A is the difference between practicing and trying it on versus being and integrating it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I want to go back. You had mentioned that you hadn't always been in this bold place. You had a journey that you had to overcome a great deal of those challenges and limiting beliefs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say was your greatest lesson in moving from that small place into a larger place, and addressing that comfort zone?
So the biggest work, the biggest energy, I guess I could say I stepped into, or the mindset I stepped into, was one, I can't serve anyone from a fearful and less than place. If I feel less than, if I don't feel like what I'm doing is good enough, then people are going to feel that when I try to work with them. And energy is incredibly transferable, even over Zoom, even, regardless, like energy speaks. And so for me, it was, okay, yeah, I can stay here and feel bad for myself and stay in this victimhood mindset and let the world beat me down and I can stay down, or I can take radical responsibility for everything that has ever happened to me. And that's not to say that when bad things happen to us, it is our fault. However, it is our responsibility to take ownership of our healing so that we are able to do the big things in the world that we are meant to be doing.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. So part of that work is the healing. We have several speakers who address the healing aspects in the summit. But for you, it sounds like it wasn't necessarily a comfortable journey. How did you stay on the path through levels of discomfort as you were moving into that more powerful place?
That's an awesome question. Thank you. So I would say that, one, like who I am just in general, I'm very gritty and I'm very stubborn. And then in addition to that, as I went down the beaten path of like healing and discovering and like doing these things and becoming a light worker and a healer, God, universe, source, whatever you identify with, continue to put people in my life and situations in my life that gave me the opportunity to either listen to my head or my heart. And my heart is something that I've always followed and always trusted. And so every time I've trusted my gut, trusted my heart, and gone in the direction of faith, even though it wasn't always comfortable and it wasn't always logical, everything has always worked out way better than I could have imagined. And so while I'd love to sit here and just talk about how like incredible I am and how like I planned all this, like I could have never told you even a year ago, even 5 months ago, like with all the things that have been going on in the world, that I would be sitting here doing what I do full time for a living, truly creating my experience, creating the friendships, the community, the clients, the life that I have. I can't take credit for all of it because I could have, my imagination's not that good. Like I couldn't have made this up. I've always known what I've wanted for myself. I've known what I've wanted to feel like and how I've wanted to show up and all of those amazing things, but it's always better than you expect when you lean into faith. And so, yes, a lot of hard work has gone into it, a lot of healing, a lot of faith, but more than that, the people that I surround myself with and the information not just information, but the food, the people, all of it, everything I consume is intentional. And so like faith, action, intention is really like the secret recipe. And it's as simple as that. And it's not to say that simple is synonymous with easy, but that is exactly what it is.
I love that. That is so amazing. And it hasn't necessarily been an easy journey. I perused your Instagram, and some of the self-talk that's out there is it's very powerful language, but also where you started you were like, okay, I'm human. I fall off the path and have to get right back on it too.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing.
Thank you.
You're setting such a great example for the people who are following you. So thank you for being a light in the world.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so part of the summit is to provide examples of people who are living on the path and on purpose and in their own authority and power in order to achieve the success in their lives that maybe they could not have even comprehended. Part of that formula is having a big picture vision of, or a long-term dream or vision or goal or aspiration that is important to you that you're following and pursuing. It sounds like you have something like that that is guiding you along with your faith and your grit.
So it's funny, like not haha funny, but it's comical because the things that I wanted a year ago are vastly different than the things I want today. And so while, yes, I have overarching like life goals, the amount of people I want to positively impact, the kind of positive impact I want to create in the world, the certain like career goals and aspirations I have for myself, yes, I absolutely have those. And I'm not attached to them. I have a high positive, like I'm holding the vibration of certainty as if it's already done because I think that matters. But for me now, the way I think about things is this or something better, because I believe that what we put out into the world, how we show up, the kind of energy we are taking and giving and receiving and putting out, we're going to get back tenfold. And so the goals that I have for myself, I'm working towards, but anything can happen. And that's the beauty of living this life, is when you are living on purpose and you are following that yes in your heart or your gut, you don't know where you're going to end up. And that's where the magic is. You need to be able to listen to yourself, because if you're so rigid in your expectations and your plan, you're not leaving any room for magic. So yes, I have goals, absolutely, just like anyone else. And I'm taking action towards them, but I'm not holding on to everything like this.
I love that. So having the broad overarching vision of your life, but not holding on to the specific outcomes, maybe. I love that. So you have like guidelines that you're following and pursuing in your dreams, for sure.
Absolutely.
How do you help your clients to connect to their own inner dreams and passions? Is that part of the formula of the success that you help them achieve?
Yes, absolutely. So the first conversation is like, okay, like what do you want? And then the next part of that conversation is like, okay, that's nice, but what do you want really? Because sometimes, I have clients that have come to me and say, I want 6-pack washboard abs. And I'm like, okay, we can do that. We can 110% do that. I can create the nutrition program. I can build out a fitness program. I'm also a certified personal trainer and group fitness instructor. It's something I enjoy doing as well. But like, do you want to dedicate your entire life to training? Is that how you want to live your life? And then we have a conversation around it. And if that's something you want to pursue, okay, so why is it important for you to have a 6-pack core? What about that intrigues you? And if it's an image thing, or that's something that society tells you that you should want, is that what you really want, or is that what you believe you want because that's what you've been fed? And so then having a conversation around that. And there's always layers And if it's one of those things in your heart of hearts, like a goal of, I want to do a bodybuilding physique competition, or I really want to simply just gain more energy through eating healthy foods, or I want to become a chef, or I want to become X or Y or do Z. If that's something that has been on your heart, I will not question it. I will support you. We will create a plan. But more often than not, I get a lot of goals around what people believe they should want versus what they actually want. So there is a little bit of digging, some layers that need to be peeled back. But in terms of like that life coaching aspect, like, yes, I will support you. We will create a plan. The only difference between a dream and a goal are steps and actual actionable items. And so that's how I've really lived my life. Is like, you can have whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. The question then becomes, are you willing to do the things necessary, required to get to where you want to be and to become who you want to be? And if no, okay, like that is 100% okay as well. But at the end of the day, it's your decision. As your coach, I can only empower you and I can support you and I can give you the tools. It's up to you to do the work.
So do you find with clients that started off with maybe some shoulds based goals, that do they tend to shift to something that they can get behind more readily and stick with over time? The bigger, broader goals, does that cause them to be more connected and motivated to achieve them?
So for an example, I did have a woman that came to me and said she wanted 6-pack abs. I was like, okay, so we did the unpacking, we delayered, if you will. And what it boiled down to is she really just wanted confidence. She really wanted to show up powerfully. She really wanted to feel good. She wanted to feel good in the clothes that she was wearing. She wanted to shop for herself in certain items. That's what she wanted for herself. And I was like, okay, why do you want that? And she's like, because I deserve to feel fucking incredible. And I'm like, all right, let's do that. And then we go from there. And so really it's, all right, if, you know, I've also had high level entrepreneurial women come into my space and I really want 60K months. Okay, why do you want 60K months? You're already at 30K months. What about that extra 30K is really going to drastically change your life? And if it's because I want to keep up with the Joneses and have all the things, okay, are the things making you happy? Because if they are, awesome, we can get you there. We can do that. And if it's just you want to create more time freedom, where in your life can we do that right now? That doesn't require you to put in hours and hours and hours. Or I want to start a foundation. Okay, what are the things that we need to do to get you from point A to point B? It's not always the thing that people want as much as the feeling they think they're going to get from having it, or it's always something deeper. And if it's as simple as, and it's never simple, right? If it's as simple as I want to start a foundation so that I can create change in the world, okay, well, we can start a little bit smaller and build into that. You can start changing your community right now with the money that you have now, the resources you have now. And sometimes it is looking at that and identifying that. And so not only does that become a really exciting thing and process, it's because now it feels doable, right? Like we're shooting up here and there's steps in between that you can get from here to here, and it's going to take time. And again, it's going to take work. But it makes people excited. And then not only that, they're tied to a greater why and a greater purpose versus this is what I should be doing versus like, oh no, I can fucking do this and I can have this. And sometimes along the way, like you start over here and you land way over there, and it's all good because you can't get it wrong and you can't mess up and you can't fail. You're always learning.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of ahas that show up along the journey too, as they're exploring and down one path, and they're like, oh, well, wait a minute. There's other, maybe some detours or other goals that are set along the way as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I love that. So the definition of success is individually identified.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah, but it's also based on the underlying big why, the that you help them to uncover so that they can stick with the big goals that they want to achieve.
Yep.
That's huge. That's huge. And I know that there's a lot of people who try to stick with their health and nutrition plans and goals and fall off the wagon. And that's hard. It's hard. It's hard to sometimes drudgery. I know from personal experience.
I mean, it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
Anything is only ever what we make of it.
Oh, that is a good point. That is a huge insight as well. Thank you. So as part of the summit, our speakers are offering free gifts, and I see that yours is a Breaking Through Your Mental Barriers ebook. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what you're offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a process that I take my high-level one-on-one clients through. Essentially what it is you identifying what it is you want, and then all the reasons why you believe you cannot have that thing. And then it takes you through a process from I can't have this, or I can't do this, or I can't be this. Look at your stuff, and then gives you the tools to work through that and then shift that internal mindset. So from a neurological process, it's top-down processing. So what you're doing is identifying limiting beliefs and then rewiring your consciousness around it so that it sticks.
Love that. That is so powerful. Thank you. I know that our audience is going to want to check it out right away. And for our audience, I have provided the link on the Summit Speaker Replay page and also on your Summit announcement for email for this interview today. So Paige, thank you so much for joining us in the Summit, and it was so awesome to have you and to hear from you in this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So to our community, be sure to look for our next interviews in your inbox. You have access for a full 7 days after each interview is released, so be sure to visit the replay page often. The link can be found in your daily Summit interview announcement email. We'll see you again soon on our next episode, and until then, shine your light into the world powerfully and in your highest expression. Thanks, Paige.
Absolutely. Bye.